the Detroit 2 for you out of Oklahoma State. Wait, this is the 6'6" Cade Cunningham.
Today we're going to talk about the Pistons' future, Cade Cunningham. Cunningham is essentially what makes or breaks this Detroit Pistons rebuild. Last season, his season was cut short due to season-ending shin surgery that kept him out till at least a couple of weeks ago, where we did see videos of him in open runs. Last season, in 12 games with the Pistons, Cade averaged 19.9 points, 6.2 rebounds, 6 assists, but we were robbed of a full season of Cade. In his career, Cade has 76 complete games, which means Cade doesn't even have a full NBA season underneath his belt.
Love that Cade hasn't played a full season under his belt, because that was the same thing that Valley said a lot about Killian. I think at this point with Cade, there's two knocks. One is that game number where he's just not playing enough games, and then two is shooting percentage. I'm going to start negative so that we can talk the rest about it positive. He's bottom tier percentile in true shooting percentage, which is a tough place to be, especially for a guy that has like a high usage. Now he's a young guy, and those percentages can get better, but they have been pretty rough to this point. You guys feel that that true shooting percentage is a true indicator of sort of who he's going to be, or do you think those are going to be something that improves vastly as he ages?
Yeah, not at all. I think rookie season we saw how bad the team was. I forgot the exact number, but he was one of the most double team players in the NBA as a rookie, which I think accounts for a lot of his bad shooting. He started the season off not being able to play in the summer, not playing with the team, and he missed his first 1,000 shots, but once he got going, his percentages started to climb. And then last season again, those broken shins that he was playing on, I'm sure didn't help his percentages. I think going back, if you look at his college stats, 40% from three, 44% field goal, that's kind of where I see him at. I could see him climbing a little bit with more space in the NBA. But no, I'm not concerned at all. I think now that we have actual players around him, and hopefully he's healthy, I expect those percentages to climb a lot.
Yeah, I guess I'll start somewhat negative as well, because he hasn't shot the ball well so far in his short NBA career. Like you said, less than one full NBA season, which I thought was funny. Connie noted the last time I've heard us saying that was talking about Killian. But Cade shot 5 3-pointers per game last year, 5.7 his rookie year, so he attempts a lot. But he's been shooting 31% in his career, which is pretty low. But it's never been something where I'm very worried about it. I think that shot eventually is going to come along just based off his free throws, and we've seen his mid-range shooting, how you can just take over from there. So I do think those will somewhat just kind of go over to each other. But you were so spot on by saying this is the make or break of our rebuild. We lucked into getting the number 1 draft pick. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to see him as much as we would have liked, but he is the make and break aspect of this. Should we win, 35 games, 40 games and challenge for a play-in next year? It's not going to happen if Cade's not there. He is the front runner to this rebuild, and that's just been forgotten so much over these last, months where he's been out, that I just can't wait for him to be back and prove these people wrong.
Last season, it was 48.7% between 16 feet and the three-point line. And going off what Valley said about the three-point number, he took less threes last year, but he took a lot more in that range. And I think Special K would always, he'd always call good. Every time Cade pulled up in that area, it was always good. In his rookie season, he only took 7% of his shots in that range. Last year, in the 12 games, he took over 17% of that shot. And to shoot that percentage, that's kind of DeMar DeRozan area, that's still a promising number in the mid-range there.
I think we were all going to start off with weaknesses. I think we'd all say that he needs to make the 3-ball. In his rookie season, he shot 31.4% from behind the long line. Last year, 27.9%. So not really a number we want to see from Cade, but at the same time, he hasn't played healthy since high school. He said he's been dealing with this injury in college. It's going to be interesting to see what a healthy Cade looks like, and his shot did look flat in his rookie season. Coming out of the gate, does that shot have a little more art to it? Do those numbers go up? Because if Cade was picked number 1 overall and he was playing kind of hindered, I don't know what Cade year 3 is going to be like, because year 3 Cade is going to be something special.
Just based off the summer run, his jumper looks like it has a little more arc to it. You mentioned how flat it was the rookie year. You know, I mean, you can't take really anything away from those, except it did look cleaner. It looked more natural. He was still playing slow-mo style.
Unless it's a big, I think there might be a decrease in mid-range attempts for Cade this coming season, and that's just because when we were watching him like earlier this season and last season, I feel like he was like the most doubled player, like Gabe said, or one of the most doubled players, and we just saw him out there with almost just no spacing. Like, you'd have like one shooter in Bogdanovich and then a bunch of like iffy shooters or non-shooters. I mean, that allows teams to help very much, and that allows teams to clog the paint very much. And when teams clog the paint and you beat your first guy off the three-point line, the shot that's available is the pull-up mid-range too. And so we've seen that he has it in his bag, but now that he has it in his bag and there's more spacing in there and they have to respect the mid-range after he beats his initial guy, I think what we're going to see as a product of this increased spacing, this hopefully increased athleticism from the shin surgery, is I think a lot more rim attempts. I think he's going to be a lot more around the basket, hopefully he gets a little more lift, because last season I think he was the most blocked player in the NBA for the minutes that he played. And I think that was a product of our shooting, and also that like a lot of the times he was taking like flat-footed drives to the rim. Like, he wouldn't really get off the ground very high. You guys agree with that or no?
Yeah.
But like a lot of the times it was sort of like trying to finesse it up, and sometimes guys would just stuff that. But I think we see a lot more rim attempts and a lot better rim attempts. Free throw frequency. He was 25th percentile, which means 75% of the NBA was better at frequency of drawing fouls and getting to the line. And I think if you're going to be a big point guard, a smart big point guard with a handle, with a mid-range, with size and strength, should be getting to the line more often than Cade does. And I think we all agree that, you know, sometimes that whistle was getting swallowed, then it would get at the rim sometimes. And there was one really clear, he dunked on somebody and basically got like...
It was the Hawks game.
Atlanta, yeah.
Dunked on 2 dudes and got nothing.
Yeah, George was like, oh, I won. And it's like, nope, never mind. I think if he gets to the rim more and convert at the rim more and get fouled more, use his body, get fouled a little bit, I think that's a huge boost for his...
I don't think his inability to get to the free throw line is due to a lack of physicality. I think he plays physical. He's not afraid to be physical, like you said. I think it's just because that whistle gets swallowed a lot.
Around the rim was a little ground pound. Like, would kind of make his moves and kind of let defenders make theirs. Like, dictate it a little more. Use his body, use his smarts to, like, manipulate things to get people out of position and in a position where they have to foul him.
You know, like, we've seen Cade have success. Like you say, you call it, like, flat-footed jumping or, like, you know, just relative unathleticism. We've still seen him have, like, tremendous amounts of success attacking the rim, despite having these unathletic characteristics about him. The fact that he's now getting this surgery to perhaps, you know, even slightly boost the athleticism provides me with so much optimism, because I've seen him drop 34 against Atlanta while not getting any whistles when dunking over 2 people like that, off these unathletic finishes where he's just slow and controlled. Now having this extra little boost, perhaps, just like I said, fills me with so much optimism that there's 6 to 8 more points per game, not including free throws, being left out there, you know.
The one counterpoint, Connie, earlier to when you said his mid-range attempts would decrease is that Monty Williams is here now, and like the player I see a lot of Cade in is Devin Booker, just kind of the offensive size. I expect him to post up a lot. Booker does that. He can make amazing reads out of the post, passing, overpowering.
If we want to give it to him in the post, I have the confidence that he'll make the right decision. But you did kind of mention that you got to make passes out of that post. And Cade's playmaking abilities is what makes him so much better than a lot of other guys in his draft class. That's why he went 1 instead of Mobley or Jalen Green, is because he sees the floor. He knows what he wants to do. He knows you can't speed up Cade Cunningham. It's just something you can't do, and I'm really excited to just watch him, hopefully for a full season, dictate our offense. And now that he has shooters around him to knock down shots, Bojan Bogdanović, Joe Harris, Monte Morris, Alec Burks, if he can start knocking down some shots.
Jalen Duren?
Jalen Duren, who knows what can happen? You know, Cade attracts so much attention. We've mentioned it 2 or 3 times already. He attracts a lot of doubles. He attracted double teams in his rookie season. So what's going to happen in essentially year 3 Cade? I can't wait to see not only him create looks for his teammates, but for those teammates to knock down their shots.
I think the magic of Cade is that it really always seemed to know, and then on time, on target to those 3-point shooters. And he wasn't playing with a lot of 3-point shooters, so yeah, it was mostly just like Sadiq. Like you said, he has this outstanding knack for knowing where the shooters are, but he is so good at those cross passes, using either hand without having to put the other one on there. And along with passing, he's really able to manipulate it to make the pass happen, should impact all 4 other guys out there.
You just can't speak about it. Like, he just makes people around him better. I think his playmaking is something that differentiates him with the others.
And knowing how to get them the ball from whatever like angle, like he mixes it up, you know, like left, right, get 2 feet in the paint, which is always huge.
Not only does he have Jalen Duren, he has the aforementioned Marvin Bagley that he does have some playing time with. I hope they pick up right where they left off, and now he's got 3 big vertical spacers to play with. It's not just Isaiah Stewart rolling with him. It's Isaiah Stewart popping, or it's going to be Jalen Duren, James Wiseman, Marvin Bagley rolling. And all 3 of those guys are big vertical threats that if Cade can utilize all 3 of those guys like he elevated Marvin Bagley, then no matter who you put out there, you're going to have a threat. When you have a guy in your starting lineup that does everything well, and then you can kind of replace him at a lower level with somebody else, I think that's kind of what makes teams great. You know, if you come out and you have Jalen Duren starting, yeah, Jalen Duren does all these things well. He's, of course, a better passer than Bagley and Wiseman, can set better screens than Wiseman and Bagley. He's as much, if not more, of a vertical threat than at least one of those 2. And then you take him out of the game and you bring in Marvin Bagley, who Cade Cunningham has already elevated to what'd you say, Gabe, 20 and 10? So
yeah, and those, like, I don't know, it was like a 15-game sample or something.
Exactly, right? And so you essentially have a 20 and 10 guy that's going to come off of your bench, which it's got to help the team at least in some way.
That's really what I'm most excited about as a threat to get people off of Cade.
What about Cade's defense?
He is above average league-wide in both block and steal percentage. So he does get a high rate of those, you know, at least defensive stats. He's got long arms, good instincts. I remember him getting overpowered, sort of. A lot of times he would find himself on bigger forwards and have some trouble there.
You say that, but you know, if we roll out a starting lineup next year of Cade, Ivy, Bojan, you know, Stu and Duren, who's guarding the other team's, you know, best scoring?
Wing. It's
best
Cade.
wing. It's Cade, isn't it?
That was my only. I don't think we've seen too much yet. There's been a few instances of help side blocks, kind of clean steals on small guys like Trae Young. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to be a great defender, especially under a Monty system with now a set 2 big guys behind him. I do think he has all the physical tools. He's smart. You could easily see him being a positive net defender, switchable. You know, he doesn't really have any weaknesses, I think. It's just, yeah, but I think it's more potential than we've seen, really.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like and subscribe, follow us on social media, and be sure to listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. So the Buffs on Detroit, the future is bright.